Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the last session of the day. We'll try and keep it as interesting as possible for all of you. A warm welcome to the panelists as well. And, well, we have gathered some of the brightest minds through the day, and we have heard everything about what AI is today and what it is expected to be a few years down the line. So really interesting conversations. We'll try and focus on how AI has impacted programmatic advertising. What are the different things that brands are looking at? What is it that they are focusing on in their current campaigns and how they look at it in the future? So let's start it right away. Rajiv, I'd like to start with you, right? I mean, well, Dabur has a very large bouquet of products across different ranges. And the kind of audience that you have to target, right, across for these different product segments is also very diverse, right? So how is Dabur as a brand leveraging AI-powered audience segmentation in a way to run campaigns?
So first of all, thank you so much for inviting here. I think there are more people on stage than in audience right now, but it's okay. It's the last session. I just break down my business for you, so that you understand my business, so that you can appreciate what we do. So, 90% of our business is from offline channels, which is the general trade, which is like the regular kirana shops where we sell. That sells through about 80 lakh shops, and a total of 1 crore shops, so we're there in 80% of the shops. Then modern trade, which is about 10%, and roughly about 10% is institutional business, which is like canteen and paramilitary, etc. Rest of 10% is the digital business, which comes through the marketplaces, the quick commerce, the D2C business, etc. Out of this, there a lot of business hides behind a walled garden. We don't know what's happening with the data over there. Yeah, we'll speak to you later about it.
Yes, Prateek is sitting right there.
So, the signal we try to get from our D2C business and from learnings we've had, we try to use that to segment our advertising, and then we try to, one is creative personalization, secondly, the advertising per se, getting the right cohorts. Learning from this, what we've done is over the period, we've launched products which suit that audience. Like, for example, I was telling you about Ayurvedic juices, right, which was a non-existent business for us. We launched a bunch of juices in the market, only targeted towards one cohort. Mustard oil, targeted towards one particular segment, only available in the marketplace. Diapers, 90% people wouldn't know that Dabur makes baby diapers as well. That's a growing business, massively growing business, very fast. Understanding the consumer is the most important thing, whether it comes through programmatic way or through a regular way. That's what we target on. But however, having said that, 90% of business comes through the top of the funnel, the mass advertising.
Signals that programmatic, generates for you, which you take and, draw insights out of it and then try and, see which new product segments can be launched, which are the audience segments that you want to target them, right? I mean, that's how typically you would go about doing it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Gunjan, how about you? I mean, from Perfetti's perspective, right? How is audience segmentation important? Because again, the kind of products that you have, like, ranges across candies, chewing gums, etc. So how does Perfetti use it in its campaigns?
So basically, can you guys hear me? So basically, we look at two different lenses. One is clearly segmentation basis, say interests, affinities, and demographics, the standard ways. The other one is something that we've started working on called opportunity spaces, which is at any point in time, there is a certain need that you have, and therefore, in that need, in that context, can you be relevant? Okay, let me take an example of a chewing gum. I can have chewing gum to mask my breath after smoking. I could have chewing gum to as a post-meal refreshment. I could have chewing gum in the afternoon because I'm sleepy and I just want to wake myself up. I would also have chewing gum when I'm feeling bored, right? So these are 4 different contexts in which I can have the same product, right? So being able to therefore use creative, to use performance marketing, to be able to target these opportunity spaces with the same product but in different contexts is something that we've actively started doing. Over and above what Rajiv just talked about. So that's one new lens we are trying to toy around with to see how can we drive performance across our brands, across platforms.
Understood. Vishal, coming to you, you have a platform that drives these programmatic campaigns, right? So audience segmentation, how have you seen that evolve from what it was to what it is today?
Yeah, so in fact, this is what I would like to say to both Rajiv and Gunjan, that irrespective of where the user or the consumer is buying it from, what is more important is where is it learning about that product. And that is where programmatic comes into the picture. So for example, at Zapats, we have a self-serve platform which is AI enabled, which acts as a source for advertising. We are the bridge between advertiser and audience. Now what AI helps us do over there is basis the user behavior and demographic data would get into detailed consumer segments. And these are the segments that we use to deliver the campaigns more targeted. Now whether it's the same product, like Gunjan was talking, chewing gum into different uses, or whether it's a product which is largely being sold on retail, whether it's regular retail or modern trade, this is where AI helps us. AI would, for the same product, give me different product segments. Also, what AI helps my platform do is, basis historical data, would predict trends and user behavior, which further plays a role in the performance of the campaign.
So,
Like I predicted, he's going to be here, and we are running a campaign along with him.
from Amazon's perspective, Prateek, I mean, how do you think audience segmentation has evolved on your platform, right? I mean, it is a very strong marketplace player in the entire ecosystem. But how do you see from an audience segmentation? How has it changed? Is it evolved? Is it any? I mean, will you be able to give us any insight in how things are going to change in the near future with AI?
Sure. Think about the cookieless world, right? And what we are sort of evolving to. I think a lot of this is going to sort of change. Yeah. And I think that is where the whole predictive modeling and advanced analytics and sort of AI will sort of come into play, right? In a very, very big way. I think the kind of, I would say, shopping, browsing, and streaming signals that Amazon sort of brings to the table, I think that helps build this AI or expand on this in a very, very critical way. Right. So right from audience personas to the kind of insights that it generates, I think it can give you the right kind of signals that will help you then target the right segment of customers. Right. And I think that's where this is going to evolve, or this is going to become super critical, moving away from just the cookies.
Understood. Gandharv, on your platform, hybrid.ai, I would have the same question. If you have any inputs in terms of audience segmentation, how is it growing? How have you seen it evolve over the last year or so?
Okay. So when we talk of audience segmentation, yes, we look at a lot of targeting, like demographic targetings and the age. We look at emotion targetings as well today. So having said that, yes, there's a lot of thing that we need to do is contextually. So contextual is the key word today, that even if chewing gums or anything, honey or anything that we're looking at, if we look at contextual targeting, so our tool basically builds into one layer above of it, which is known as semantica. So basically our tool would just not analyze that what keywords are we using, we would also analyze the complete article along with the image and then do the advertising. So your ad reaches the right person at the right time. So the right message goes out. So that is where the evolvement will happen, along with the creative optimization as well is something.
Got it. So while we have the consumer piece understood in terms of how that's evolving, but the next comes, what do you talk about? What's the communication that goes out? And I think Gunjan, this is for you, right? From your perspective, right? I mean, there's a lot of personalization that can happen in creatives, right? So what are the considerations that a brand has to keep in mind? Because the kind of volume that you can generate, the kind of variations that you can generate are tremendous. So what are those considerations that a brand like you or probably a Dabur has to keep in mind when it comes to creative renditions? Because when you talk about programmatic, the kind of scale that you have is really huge, and the kind of speed that you can churn it out is also really big, right?
I think excellent question. I think the fundamental and a baseline consideration is what does the brand stand for, and the clearer you are as a marketing person, the better would be the output. And to that extent, understanding who is the right target for the brand, how does a consumer react and interact with the brand, what are the opportunities in which the brand is relevant. Some of these nuances are super important, and these inputs kind of drive therefore the segments that you want to go after and the context that you want to target, right? And these kind of then drive obviously better optimization and therefore a better ROI, and that kind of fuels a virtuous cycle for the brand. And essentially those are some of the principles on which we kind of base our optimization, targeting and performance marketing on.
Vishal, from a platform, again, when you come to actually deploying creative, right? You get a lot of inputs from the brand saying, okay, these are the creatives that come into play. But as a platform, do you also think there are certain considerations that you would, put in place saying, okay, this is how it needs to be done, or there is a certain way of, looking at creative
So
dynamic?
not exactly, but what we tell our clients and what we tell our even creative agencies are that I have different audience buckets. Let's take for example juices. Now for juices, I have a bucket which is more health conscious, which is thinking about nutrition, which is thinking about whatever I should drink should be proper. So obviously the creative over there would be different. There is another segment I have which is more into partying, which is more into mocktails, which is more into cocktails, and there obviously the creative that would be rendered out would be completely different. And both the creatives would be optimized basis the segment that we are looking at. See, basic purpose of advertising is what? Is that we deliver the ad to the right segment at the right time. And this is what AI helps us to do in terms of delivery. Creatives, there is only so much input that we give to our clients. They understand the brand better, and they would understand their creatives better than us.
Rajiv, from Dabar's perspective, how do you think, you are tackling this?
I think one more angle to plus what we said is about cost optimization. Cost optimization, bid optimization is something which becomes very important because media is becoming expensive, and digital has become mainstream now. It's no longer a niche now. It's mainstream. TV is going to become niche in few years from now. And print is going to become very premium for very premium audiences. So it's so massy, and so you have to have right kind of cost optimization metrics, and AI should be able to help with that. I'm yet to get a feel on that, yet. AI helping me buy cheaper, So looking forward to answers on
I think
this.
we heard the term about optimizing the entire funnel in the previous session. I think that's what you're pointing to as well. But talking about cost, Gandharv, on your platform, right? How do you see changes in terms of the bidding process, or how does optimization actually come into play? Has it improved? Has AI actually impacted the way the entire process works? Has it made it more refined, more optimized in any way?
Yes, in our tool, yes, I would say it has. So like we were just discussing about it, what we would term it is, in a very simple way, is dynamic creative optimization. So say for example, today the weather is just bizarre in India. In Delhi itself, say for example in Gurgaon it's raining and in Noida it's sunny. So we can actually show a different creative altogether. I can show, if I'm doing a coffee ad, so I can show a cold coffee ad at the same time in Noida and the same different creative in Gurgaon. So this is where the optimization helps, and the creative optimization is something which is helping a lot of brands to understand that yes, it helps in cost optimization, it helps in creative optimization, and it gives a better engagement to the users as well. Is something that
Amazon.
I think I'll pass on this one.
Okay. Vishal, how about you? I mean, optimization strategies, bid optimization and everything. It's a very important aspect of what brands are looking like, I mean, in the sense they are looking at efficiency, especially programmatic advertising has been sold to them over the years saying this is the most efficient way of advertising on digital, right? So how is AI bringing that efficiency into play? Have you actually witnessed it?
So it's a real-time bidding process, and like Gandhar was talking about, we also focus on storytelling and moment marketing to drive efficiency over there, and it's kind of common for everyone. But one aspect that we're not talking about, which is very important, is that AI helps us a lot into fraud detection, and that has a big impact on again on optimization. So basically, my platform Xerxes, it utilizes AI to get real-time tracking of the campaign. And the moment there is a fraud that is detected, AI would at that very instant give you insights into that. And that would help the team to take corrective action to ensure that the campaign integrity is maintained. Not only that, but AI bases the historical data of trends and user behavior would also give you potential risk, fraud risk possibilities. And that is where the system does preemptive measures over there, and that further leads to more optimization and better performance.
All right. Prateek, from Amazon's perspective, right, how are you seeing AI, enhance the entire ecosystem of programmatic advertising? Is there any specific point of view that you bring to the table here?
Yeah, sure. I think thanks for that. I think a couple of aspects, right? We spoke about, or we touched upon the different signals across browsing, shopping, and streaming through video that come into play, and how they sort of enhance, the campaign yield. I think what we have also seen is that with this modeling, there is about 25% increased engagement, 12 to 13% more cost efficiency. So I think we are also seeing this play out. But I think the other parts where this helps is, and Raji and I were sort of briefly talking about this, right? That, with this ecosystem on AI, when you are talking about, say, upper funnel or reach, or lookalikes, and you don't want to get into, say the very specific audience and, just a very small segment, this will also optimize to that, saying that, hey, like the focus of this campaign on, juices or honey is just sort of reach. And the brand doesn't have to get into the platform and make those changes, right? The system will just sort of auto-optimize and drive that for the right set of audiences, right? Similarly, on, say, a product that is on e-commerce, focused on e-commerce, and you want to drive downstream conversions, the campaigns will just get optimized to that. And I think a lot of that is already available on the Amazon DSP platform, which helps you sort of reach those audiences both on Amazon and off Amazon, right? So just from a scale perspective, these are like millions of customers that you can reach, and the AI sort of auto-optimizes for a lot of the outcomes that the advertisers want to solve for. So I think from that perspective, I think we're really seeing this sort of play out well and scale well.
Right. Vijan, from your perspective, what do you think are the next emerging trends in, especially when it comes to digital advertising, programmatic campaigns? And do you see any drawbacks as well? I mean, while there are a lot of positives that we spoke about throughout the day, but, what do you see are the trends that you are most excited about, and are there any drawbacks?
Yeah, I think from a marketer's perspective, the trend is how do we keep optimizing dynamic creative optimization, right? And with AI, with so many tools on allowing us to create videos, create new music, create static ads, and really contextualize basis all the input data. I think for a marketer, it's a gold mine, right? And that for me is super exciting, being able to serve a video ad that has been created in a flash of a moment basis, maybe rain in Gurgaon on, if I'm a coffee brand manager, versus an ad in Noida where it's shining bright, right? That for me is amazing, right? So that is one trend that I'm super kicked about. In terms of some of the, how should I politely put, maybe opportunities on of AI, I think part of it is is essentially consent-based marketing that most of the brands would have to actively go after. The second one is, and which gets less talked about in the technology circles, is creating an echo chamber, because this entire system works off all the past input data. And depending on your belief, your habits, your attitude, your behavior, you may end up getting a lot of the same thing that you want to see, and therefore any diversification becomes very, very difficult, not just for the user, but also for organizations, because if as an organization I see this thing is working, a particular kind of juice, for example, is doing well. So as a competitive organization, I create more such juices, and it's kind of a vicious cycle, because you don't create variety, you don't diversify. So that's the other risk I see. And the third risk is, what is the kind of input data and what is the bias that is built in that input data, whether it's gender, whether it's race, whether it's ethnicity, what is the diversity of interests that have been represented in the data that kind of plays back. The last one that all marketers need to be aware of is not to feed off vulnerabilities of individuals. But that's a larger technology based industry challenge, and not just AI. So these would be some of the opportunity that I see on AI.
Awesome. Rajiv, from your perspective, everybody is talking about juices. You know, what do you think?
So yeah, so like Vishal just prompted, yeah, so we are leaders in juices. 62%, 65% market share. And we want to grow this. We want to, however, you know, what happens is that what juices to sell and what juices to launch. What, like for example, the market, if you add nectars to it, and it becomes a huge market. If you just look at juices, then it's a small market. So we have expanded beyond juices, going to nectars, going into the adjacent categories like fruity and Vaza, etc. Launching PET bottles, launching fizzy drinks as well. We're a non-fizzy drink company. Launching fizzy drinks as well. And trying to, you know, reach out to the new audiences, the lapsers or people who have never experienced our products. Like, this country is very young, average age is 28 years. And if you look at anybody who's like 20 years and younger, probably the person would have never watched TV, you know, in life. Or going forward, you know, you'll find that people, will be very hard to find people who've used social media, etc. So how do you get these people? That's one challenge. And you have to sell juices to them on a daily basis. And we are in repeat order business. We have to sell same product to the same person again and again, you know.
Right.
And so how do we do this? It always remains a challenge. And we try to learn from signals. This another way we get signals is by getting customer data. We have a, so we read all the data which comes to us. We have a war room kind of a thing. We listen to everybody, all the customers who talk to us. And we get a lot of insights through that as well. And we convert those insights into products and launch it in real time. So that's another great thing which we do. Been a traditional company, 140 years. I've been there for most of these 140 years. And I've seen the change. I've seen the massive changes happen. Right from, say, adoption of AI into research, you know, doing a basic consumer research, to packaging design, to supply chain management, to manufacturing. Marketing has, I think, usually marketing is always the first one to adopt it. This time I saw marketing was a step back. But we are getting there. We'll be there soon.
Awesome. Gandhar, from your standpoint, what do you think are the things that are, you know, really exciting, and what do you think are the potential drawbacks that you foresee from a... So you work with multiple brands, right? So you see a lot of stories coming in, right? So what's your point of view?
So I would say in AI, I would just point out to the creativity part of thing. So what I would say is that human intervention on the creative part is very important. Without the human intervention, even if AI is there because it is embedded into the system, whatever creatives that we get is something that's been made. But yes, if a human intervention comes into place, that increases the efficiency and the engagement, and it helps the brand as well, and the user also to engage and to understand that what the creative is actually talking about. Because an AI, whatever I have embedded in the system and I pull out a video or a creative, yes, it will be a fab video. It would really do well. But at the end, you really need a human intervention to understand for the human creativity.
Prateek, from your standpoint, things that are really exciting from you, and you can bring in the Amazon example, or if you want to lead that out, that's fine.
Sure. Actually, I think most of the folks have touched upon, what is exciting and what is coming up. Let me also touch upon the challenges, right? Because you had a two-part question on challenges and what's working well. So I think a couple of things, right? I think one is just commoditization of the whole ecosystem, right? Because, programmatic is talked about. There's a large set of, ecosystem players and a lot of different, DSPs or platforms are just plugged into that, right? So that space is commoditized, right? And how do you sort of break that clutter, and what is that, plus that you bring to the table that solves for that? And I think that's where the whole transparency piece comes into play, becomes super critical. That do you know where your ad is running? Is it running at the place that you want? Is the right kind of audience and things like those? And I think just to build on that, this is where also the whole 1P data piece comes into play, right? Which you touched upon, right? Saying, can you integrate that 1P data, along with the other signals and make it more meaningful, right? Because otherwise, in a commoditized ecosystem, it is really, really hard for you to sort of do that, right? And then look at incrementality or value, right? And that's what you need to sort of solve for. So I think that's where I think some of those challenges or the opportunities sort of lie for you to solve for. And I mean, there are still brands who sort of stay away from programmatic or AI, and obviously there is a steep learning curve for them, but there's always a lot more opportunity, on who they can reach, how they can reach, and the value that they can generate.
Vishal, we are almost out of time, so I'll have the last word from you in terms of what do you think?
So I think we are very lucky. We are very lucky to be living in the current time where everything is changing so fast. Look at technology. Till a year and a half back, we were talking about AR, VR, then we started talking about metaverse, then we're talking about AI. However, if you look at, and since we are talking about programmatic largely, programmatic has stayed. It's made our lives so easy, so simpler to reach out to the right people. Now it's getting into AI into programmatic, getting into programmatic television, getting into programmatic outdoor. So this era is very interesting. There is technology which is helping us do our lives, our jobs better. There are marketers who are ready to experiment, ready to see what is the delta that we can deliver. I think it's the best we could have asked for. And AI definitely today is a game changer for us.
Thank you. That's all we have time for today. And if there are any questions, we can take them now.